Varosha was a sun-soaked modern beach quarter of Famagusta, Cyprus. Lined with luxury hotels, busy promenades, and marinas, it attracted international tourists from Britain, Germany, and the Middle East, while a mixed Greek Cypriot community tended the cafes, shops, and harbors. By the 1960s, Varosha had become an economic engine for the Famagusta district, powering fisheries, construction, and export-linked tourism. And it also served as an emotional anchor for families affected by the island's turbulent politics after Cyprus gained independence on August 16, 1960. That fragile post-independence balance, marked by intercommunal violence in 1963–64 and rising Greek and Turkish nationalist tensions, set the stage for catastrophe. The atmosphere felt charged and brittle, vulnerable to violence, and strangely haunted with restless promise. On August 14, 1974, during the second phase of Turkey's military intervention in Cyprus, Turkish armed forces seized the city of Famagusta and its glittering resort quarter, Varosha-a. Villagers, shopkeepers, hotel staff, and Greek Cypriot families who ran the hotels and promenades fled overnight, joined by British and German tourists. They left cars parked on boulevards, seaside breakfast plates, prayer icons, and suitcases behind. Archival photographs capture a child's red bucket on a sunbed, a journal with a fountain pen on a cafe table, and a half-open hotel door swinging on a rusty hinge. Within hours, Varosha was ringed with barbed wire and forbidden signs, sealed under Turkish military control, and bureaucratically sealed off, turned into a grotesque, bloodless mausoleum. Maybe clicking subscribe would have saved them. The sudden, obscene silence created a human vacuum and pushed the island into a decades-long diplomatic and humanitarian standoff. For decades, Varosha lay like a corpse of tourism. Skeletal hotels and shattered glass, ivy and wild pines clawing through terrazzo floors, sea salt eating away at concrete, gulls nesting in empty lobbies while rust bloomed on abandoned cars like scabbed wounds. Boulevards were taken over by feral shrubs and mildew. The air held a carrion-like silence that turned memory into menace. The fenced quarter became a grisly, almost mythic emblem of the unresolved Cyprus conflict, as displaced Greek Cypriot owners and the Republic of Cyprus lodged competing property claims against Turkish control. The UN Security Council, in Resolution 550 on May 11, 1984, demanded that Varosha be placed under UN administration and condemned settlement, and the European Court of Human Rights decision in Loizidou versus Turkey affirmed Greek Cypriot property rights. Years of diplomatic stalemate, embargoes, and mounting international frustration calcified the site into a political tripwire, primed for a new rupture on October 8, 2020. After decades of frozen stasis, the political ice finally cracked in 2020 as hard policy choices and economic pressure pushed Varosha toward a breaking point. Ankara, under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, aligned with Turkish Cypriot leader Ersin Tatar's push for development, while Republic of Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiades and outgoing Turkish Cypriot President Mustafa Akinci publicly sparred over sovereignty and property. Financial strains in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and promises of tourism revenue sharpened the appetite to act. Legal precedents loomed large in frantic briefings, notably the European Court of Human Rights rulings in Loizidou versus Turkey, which affirmed Greek Cypriot property claims, and UN Security Council Resolution 550, May 11, 1984. Official statements from Ankara and authorities in Lefkosa promising a return collided with footage of grieving refugees in Nicosia and with condemnations from UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the EU on October 9 through 10, 2020, producing a contentious plan to partially reopen Varosha that teetered on the brink. On October 8, 2020, Turkish-controlled authorities pushed back barbed wire fences around Varosha and Famagusta and partially reopened stretches of beach under controlled access. The result was stark and macabre. Sunburned tourists stepping onto sand that had been off-limits for decades. Journalists filming gutted hotel lobbies with shattered glass and peeling wallpaper. and displaced Greek Cypriot owners confronted by ravenous rot and ruined heirlooms. The immediate fallout was explosive. Celebratory scenes broadcast from Lefkosa and Ankara were met with fury from Republic of Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiades, condemnations from UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres and the EU, and revived legal claims. It felt like a carnival and an atrocity at once, a living wound torn open. The partial reopening of Varosha reopened a deep wound in peace talks, hardening positions on sovereignty and property restitution, while also tempting investment and tourists with promises of heritage and development. It forces courts and diplomats to face title disputes and ethical questions about turning a ruined district into a commodity. Is reopening a step toward normalization, or does it freeze the conflict in place? The future could go several ways, from negotiated restitution and carefully designed memorials to deeper political entrenchment. And Varosha is a stark reminder that memory, justice, and reconciliation can either be salvaged or scavenged.